करारविन्देन पदारविन्दं मुकारविन्दे विनिवेशयन्तं वटस्य पत्रस्य पूतेशयानम्.
Jai Gurudev, everyone. Vasudeva Sutan Devam Kaunsajarurnamardhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. We have seen till now how step by step Lord Krishna is giving the knowledge to Arjuna in a way in which he is saying that you are not the body. You are not the body. And then he has also given steps of how to experience that. In the last two shlokas, we went through this, that he gave one step in which you have effort, in which he said, Shitoshna Sukha Dukha Daha. Shitoshna, that every time the sense organ comes in contact with the object of the senses, only then you feel Shitoshna, Sheet and Ushna, and that you define it as Sukh or Dukh. According to you, the Sukh or Dukh are not absolute, it is only relative. So he has said that this is relative Sukh and Dukh, this is not true Sukh and Dukh. Because if it comes in contact with the contact of the senses more and more, eventually you don't dislike the object of the senses. Sense organ has a limited, like Gurudev says, sense organ has a limited, pleasurable experience. After that, it loses its sense. So he says that tam titikshasva bharata, like, O Sarvashresht Dhanodar, he says, Tam titikshasva bharat. Titiksha, endure this heat, this cold, that the difference of the experiences in the senses that happen because of the contact with those senses. Contact of the object of the senses. Then he gives another look at the whole thing. He says, Yam hi na vyatayan tyete Purusham Purusharshabha Sama Dukha Sukham Dhiram Somritatvaya Kalpate. He says that only a person who can see Sukh and Dukh in the same level, and does not get jittered or elated or subdued in this, come to a point where you can see from that angle. Then that person is only person who is eligible for Amrit Tattvaya. So he is the only person eligible for Amrit Tattvaya. He only can, take the Amrit. He only can have this, the path to immortality. That's what he is saying. And today he says, Nasato vidyate bhavo Na bhavo vidyate sataha ubhayorapi trishtontas tvanayos tatvadarshibhihe. This shloka is so difficult to understand, and once Gurudev had said this, and I remember this. Now the translation of the shloka is like this: Na asata. Now it says that Na asata bhavato. जो असत्य है उसका कोई सत्ता ही नहीं है. It has no existential power. ना भावो विद्यते सतः. जो सत्य है वो कभी अभाव में हो ही नहीं सकता है. It can never be in abhav. And then he says ubhayorapi drishtontas. Ubhayorapi drishtontas त्वनयोस तत्वदर्शी भी. तो जो तत्वदर्शी भी है, जो ज्ञानी है, जो तत्वदर्शी भी है, वो इन दोनों को वो इन दोनों को वैसे देखता है, लाइक ही सीज इट फ्रॉम दैट एंगल. उभयो इज दोनों को, एंड देन दृष्टोन तस he sees the differentiation, he can clearly identify. वो तत्वदर्शी भी है, वो देखता है तत्व ज्ञानी से. अब आप बताओ इसमें से आपको क्या समझा? The real shloka translation is, the unreal has no existence and the real never ceases to be. The reality of both has thus been perceived by the seers of truth. So अभी आप बोल नहीं सकते हो कि this is how when I read this for the first time and I stopped the Bhagavad Gita at this shloka because I thought ये तो मेरे दिमाग में नहीं जाने वाला है. Then one day Gurudev actually said this shloka and suddenly my ears lighted up and I thought let me listen to what Gurudev said. So I will read that also, but the thing is जो असत है, like for example there are two ways, like so asat kaisa hai, like the asat is like when you see a, when you see a wood, what do you call, a stick on the street and you identify it as a snake. So, or for example you see a mirage and you identify it as water is far away there, you identify, and when you reach there it's not there. So this is asat. Or the best example would be like when a small child is sitting under a tree and then he sees the shadow of the tree and he sees this is real, he sees there is a phantom and the shadow moves. The small child is just sitting, the shadow keeps moving, it keeps moving with the impression of the sun, it keeps moving and he feels like there is some ghost sitting under this tree. He identifies it as like that. But वो असत की कोई सत्ता नहीं है, वो असत है, उसकी कोई सत्ता नहीं है. सत्ता किसकी है? वो पेड़ की. वो पेड़ की, जो पेड़ के वजह से वो शैडो आता है. तो हियर इन द तत्वदर्शी भी, बिकॉज ही यूज द वर्ड तत्वदर्शी भी, he says that this whole creation is only God, but you don't want to open your eyes and come out of this ignorance. You have loved this ignorance so much that you don't want to come out of this ignorance at all. Like, some people, for example, like some people, if what would you say, like some people go to the toilet, for example, and then they just sit in the toilet. कुछ होने वाला नहीं है. They know this, but they like to sit in the toilet. So that ignorance of just sitting in the toilet, you have been caught up in this perception of life so much that you say this is real. You see this every single thing as reality, but this is not reality. This world is engulfed by God. We are inside God. God is inside us. It's like space. It's inside you. It is outside you. It is in you, without you. With you, without you, like that. So here he is saying that ये सब कुछ, everything here is God, but you don't want to see it. तो वो उसकी सत्ता सब जगह है. Like Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankar ji says na sometimes. So he says that he quotes Kabir कि लोग पूछते कहाँ है भगवान, और मैं पूछता हूँ अरे उसके बगैर तो कुछ और दिखता ही नहीं है, उनके बगैर कुछ और दिखता ही नहीं. दिस इज एंड तत्वदर्शी भी जो है, जो ज्ञानी है, जो गुरु है या जो बहुत ज्ञानी है, वो कैसे देखते हैं? वो देखते हैं कि ये जो है ये एक परसेप्शन है. Like a person who is in a very sweet dream, he just wants to keep dreaming. He just wants to keep dreaming. But the dream is because of him. It is not the true thing. It is because of him there is a dream. So he just keeps dreaming and he wants to be in that dream. But he has to wake up. Similarly, if you are ready to wake up, then from now the next shlokas will start. But if you are not ready to wake up, this is like the journey end for you. अगर if you want to wake up, like yes, कहाँ पे है ये सत्य कहाँ है? तो he says अगर ये तरीका आ गया तो उसका कोई वो हर जगह है वैसे. ना सतो विद्यते भावो ना भावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि. ये जो दोनों है दृष्टोन्तस, त्वनयो तत्वदर्शी भी, ये जो दर्शी भी है ये दोनों देखता है. He sees this is your perception, but he can see reality also very clearly. He doesn't differentiate with you your perception, but he knows that reality is different. And this is what, and this shloka is very tough for me to understand because it, here, in Bhagavad Gita, many times it's not straightforward. It is like, na sato vidyate bhavo, na asata. Like he has said like that. He didn't say it directly. And he says, na bhavo vidyate satan, na abhav. Like, uska abhav bhi nahi hai. So, this is, and you can see this from all the temporary things in your life. All these temporary things in your life have kept moving, kept moving, kept moving, kept moving. But something stopped us from understanding the reality. Something stopped us from learning that these are all temporary. All of this is one day going to perish because there is only one truth, and that is the Supreme God. That is the consciousness. That is the reality which is there inside us. So this is only for today, one shloka only, because this shloka is something which all of us need to understand also. It is some. So it is basically like if you are in a dream, not sleeping, but reality. If you are in a reality dream, in real life, if you are in a dream and you have started feeling this is permanent, you need to wake up. This is the time to wake up with this shloka, क्योंकि he says कि सत्य की मतलब वो हर जगह है और जो असत्य है उसकी कोई सत्ता होती ही नहीं है. This is what he has said. So I'm not saying reject the world. Remember this. This is not the message. The message is not reject the world. What is the world? The world is happening at its own place. जैसे for example, the wave is happening, but the wave is because of the ocean. The ocean is not because of the wave. You have to understand that the wave is because there is an ocean. Wherever an ocean comes, the wave will come. But if the wave feels, I have my identity minus the ocean, it is no wave at all. It is impossible. This is what he is saying. कि आंखें खोलेंगे तो दिखता है कि सारा बड़ा समुंदर है इस ईश्वरी तत्व का, लेकिन आंखें बंद है तो वो लहर को लगता है कि मैं ही हूँ जो आई हूँ और जाऊंगी. सो that's why he says कि और सत्य का अभाव कभी विद्यमान नहीं समझते. तत्वदर्शी भी महापुरुष इन दोनों का ही तत्व देखा अर्थात अनुभव किया है. They see both lives from that angle. So इसलिए when you ask Guruji, can I have ice cream? He'll say yes, though he knows that the reality is different. That's just a small example.
Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum